Have you ever had a groundwater flood even though your sump pump has worked in heavy rainfall before? Today we're going to go over the top 3 reasons why your sump pump may have failed when you needed it most. I'm Jake with Mechanical Flood Protection. I'm a 22-year plumber and we've protected hundreds of basins from flooding. In my experience, here are the 3 reasons why your sump pump may have suddenly failed and 3 fixes to prevent the next flood. Number 3. The sump pump circuit breaker is tripped during a brief outage or power surge and was never turned back on. Circuit breakers, especially GFIs or ground fault interrupters, are designed to protect you and your home from electrical shock or fire. If there's a brief power surge or loss of power, this can sometimes shut off that breaker. These breakers need to be manually turned back on, and if it was missed, it's a good chance it won't be on when your sump pump needs to operate. The best way to avoid a tripped breaker causing a flood is to have what's called a high water alarm installed. When the water rises past the float switch on your sump pump, it'll activate this alarm letting you know that there's a problem. Once you discover that the breaker's been tripped, turn it back on, the pump will activate, and you'll prevent a flood. Talk about a close call. Reason number 2 sump pumps fail is that the discharge pipe becomes frozen or clogged outside. In cold climates, if your sump pump's discharge pipe outside is undersized or backsloped, there's a good chance some water will be left behind after the pump operates. This water could freeze and block the pump from being able to do its job. If the pipe is buried, sometimes it can be clogged with dirt or mud. This is especially scary because you don't know if there's an issue until it's too late. The best solution for this is prevention. Having an indirect connection or an air gap between the discharge pipe when it exits the home and the extension pipe outside will allow that water to temporarily escape and give you a visual cue that something is wrong. If you're in an emergency situation, you may need to cut that pipe before the clog to allow that water to escape during a storm. When it's over, I would highly recommend installing a 4-inch PVC discharge extension pipe and having an indirect connection between the 1.5-inch pump pipe and that extension. And the number 1 reason why your sump pump fails suddenly is the float switch gets stuck in the off position. Sump pumps operate by the float switch. As the water rises, the switch reaches the high point, turning the pump on. As the water lowers, the switch reaches the low point, turning the pump off. Pretty simple, right? The problem is that the vast majority of sump pumps are installed in an improper basin, or sometimes just a hole in the floor. And if your sump pump has no lid to protect it, there's a good chance that something could have fallen in there and stopped that float switch from working. Some basins are simply undersized, and the float switch can get stuck on the side wall of the basin it's installed in. The permanent solution for this is to have a proper 18-inch by 22-inch deep sump basin installed with a lid. But in an emergency situation or before a storm, have a look inside your sump basin or pit and see if there's any junk or debris in there that's stopping that float switch from working. And you can always manually test your sump pump too by lifting up your float switch to the on position and seeing if it activates and moves the water. Flooding is the number 1 insurance claim. You can help prevent the next flood by having a high water alarm installed on your sump pump, by making sure that your sump pump discharge pipe outside is clear and not frozen, and by making sure there's no debris or junk in your sump pump that could stop the float switch from working. If you need any help with your sump pump or you're not sure what to do, feel free to reach out to us. Even if we're not in your area, we'll do what we can to help. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, stay dry.